How do people get scammed is a question I find myself asking at an almost daily basis. Let's take a look into that.
Just verify me your number,
I mean, why are we in such a rush?
because you're wasting my time. The 15 minutes you're already wasted. Can you please verify me your number? 4514, you're not listening to me. Have a good day today and you're not getting any kind of low interest. And we are canceling all the credit cards from you and you're not cooperating with me right now.
Now let's give some background on myself. Hi, I'm Arran, and at this time of this video I am 26 years of age. And that's it. The target email was my personal email, so this will be blurred out, but my scammers' emails will be on show for the purpose of this video. Now, you may think that you've heard me wrong when I said emails. You're wrong. But that's something that we will look into further when we get into this. I will be playing the gullible target here, aka old person with no knowledge of how scams work and the internet. I just use the computer for Facebook and checking emails. Now, I was recently compromised early May 2021 with scammers all around the world trying to access my emails for their own purposes. But hey, get you that two-step authenticator and you'll be safe and sound. We start off with the 3rd of June 2021 at the time of 2:09 AM. God damn, these scammers don't sleep. Usually I just ignore scammers and fake emails, but this one interested me as it was titled, "I expect your response." How could I not respond to this? They expected a response. Now, when looking at this email, you can see that this is in fact my first email from this person. The email states that this is the second time I sent a message to you. Please confirm that you have received it. I have an important thing to discuss with you. Signed, Mrs. Stella Michael. So we can see here that this email says that this is the second time trying to contact me. Now, an everyday schmuck like me would see this and just ignore it, but not your grandparents, not your middle-aged parents. Hey, they might even think that the computer and the internet's black magic. They will see this and contact the scammer. Simple. This is the start of how I get scammed for $13.5 million. So this is where the story begins. The name that signs off this email was Mrs. Stella Michael. But the sending email is from a roman.krager@bayan.sk. Now, when searching this email, bayan.sk, it will take you to a company called Bayan Company, which is a multimedia company based in Slovakia. So with this in mind, we can deduce that we were contacted by a media company from Slovakia. Take this email address and take note, we will refer back to this later. So I respond same day at a reasonable time of 8:41 AM because I worked a day job, so this is a reasonable time to email. Hello, I have not received any contact from yourself prior to this email. How can I help? Signed, Arran. Short, simple email. You can see that I signed it off with just my first name, keeping it relaxed and informal, as you do. I then later receive a response at 10:56 AM. Same day, so this person is in a somewhat similar time frame as me, I assume. But, did you notice that? The email changed, and it's now no longer roman.krager@bayan.sk. It's now been changed to stellaomomichael@gmail.com. Now this is the same email thread. Nothing has changed. No new emails have been sent. It's the same thread. How is this done? Well, I don't know. But I am looking into this. Jesus, do you see that novel right there? Like, I didn't sign up for this. Hello, dear Arran Taylor. How are you today? I am Barrister Stella Michael. a legal practitioner based in Lome, Togo. I crave your indulgence to intimate you a business transaction involving a legacy left behind by my late client, engineer P.B. Taylor, who died a few years ago and who is a citizen of your country. Before his death, my late client had made a cash deposit of $13.5 million in a bank in Lome, Togo. I happened to be his attorney before his death, and I signed as his witness when he deposited this said amount of money in the bank in Lome, Togo. Now that he is dead and has no known family, relatives, or who will inherit this money and collect the money from the bank, I contacted you because you have the same surname as him. Since you both have the same surname, I presume you are most likely to be his extended family relative, which qualifies you to inherit the said money that he deposited with the bank. I'll give you further details on how to proceed as soon as I receive your reply in my private email. I will be waiting for your response. Barrister Stella Michael. So let's cut to the chase. We got a P.B. Taylor, which is an engineer. The term was is here because Mr. P.B. Taylor is dead and has deposited $13.5 million in the bank in Lome. Now, let's give it a bit of info about Lome. Lome is the capital of Togo. Togo is right next door to Nigeria. Anyone else getting those kind of like vibes?
I am calling to let you know that you have been selected from our database to receive a cash prize.
Yeah?
All I require from you is your bank account details and sort code, and we can wire you their monies directly.
I see, yeah. How much is it?
The computer says you have been rewarded £82.57.
Well, Togo, on a simple Google search, shows that Togo is known to be the saddest country in the world. This was due to those damn white people doing that thing that white people did many years ago. But now with that short history lesson, let's continue to where we left off. Where were we? No, yes, Mr. P.B. Taylor deposited this money in the Bank of Lome and passed away and has no known family members, so this money will stay in the bank. But due to me having a similar last name to Mr. P.B. Taylor, Stella here put two and two together and thought I would be a distant relative and reached out to me. Simple, easy, not that complicated. I respond back same day around 2:42 p.m, just touching on about the money, asking about Mr. P.B. Taylor, so I could at least give him a farewell. Hello Stella, my condolences to yourself on losing a client. 13.5 million is a large amount of funds to be sent to somebody with a similar surname to myself. Is it okay if I could ask a little further information in regards to Mr. Taylor? Someone should at least wish him a proper farewell for his late passing. Now gamers and non-gamers alike, this is where the journey takes a hard left turn. I then received a response a couple hours later at 4:49 p.m. Now let's soak in this email. It also does include a copy of what I would believe is a fake passport, but that's for you to decide. Jesus, are you seeing this? Holy shit. What the fuck am I reading? Like, wow. That's a lot to read. But I'm gonna read off this email. Now, I'm gonna leave this email up on the screen. You can pause it, read through it on your own if you'd like. But for the purpose of the video, I'm gonna read it all out for context. Thank you for the mail. I really appreciate it. I assure you that the fund will be transferred to you for appropriate standard banking and legal operating procedures without breach of law. All you have to do is always follow my guideline and do as I say. You can do it alone. I assure you that the fund will be transferred to you through proper banking and legal standard operational procedures without breach of law. Frankly, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that everything I've told you about the late engineer P.B. Taylor, who died in a fatal car accident more than 8 years ago, here in my country, Republic of Togo. Now, you can see that there's already the beginning of a lot of manipulation, a lot of big words are being used, just to make it seem official, such as you see in you can do it alone, I can assure you. This is usually the main beginning of tricking a target that may be a little old. Now, I do get a bit of info of Mr. P.B. Taylor and how he died more than 8 years ago in the country of Togo. Now, let's pause real quick. The first email that reached out to me was an email addressed to a Slovakian media company. Now, let's just check where Slovakia is compared to Togo in Africa. Oh. Nowhere near Togo. Nowhere near Africa. But the average older generation person isn't going to know this, or even acknowledge that the email address has changed. Where were we again? Oh yeah, really speaking, engineer P.B. Taylor nationalised here in the Republic of Togo for more than 35 years, and secretly told me that he was raised in an orphanage, and that he has no relative, no parents, brother or sister. Therefore, I will present him to the bank as his relative, since you bear the same name with him, and the bank will transfer the fund to him. Then we will share it accordingly. This is an opportunity for life, and I trust that it is God who made our paths cross. To this end, I have decided to offer you 45% of the total fund. I suggest that 10% is given to the less privileged, and the remaining 45% will be my share of the divisions. Please, I would like to have your consent with respect to exchange relationship, as indicated above. In concluding this transaction, I intend to travel to meet with you in your country for disbursement of funds, as suggested above, and also to discuss the business relationship and possible future investment. So with this assuring, we move on to P.B. Taylor, that lived in Togo for more than 35 years and secretly told Stella that they were an orphan, and Stella will present him to the bank and transfer the funds to him. Now, where is this money, you ask? If they need to present Mr. P.B. Taylor to get the funds transferred? Don't know, I thought the money was already deposited, but I guess not. But let's continue. Stella mentions that this is in fact an opportunity for life, and that God has brought us together, and that 45% of the funds go to me, and 45% goes to Stella, and the remaining 10% goes to charity. Now, for the greedy minds out there, 45%, that's $6 million, with no impact to me as the victim and Stella. And we're going to do good by donating the rest to charity. So what's happened is we've had God and charity already mentioned. I believe this is sort of like to reach the heart of the religious person and those that are in giving nature and passionate to those that are in need. Stella would like to travel here to divide the funds and to talk of possible future business together. I am Honourable Barrister Stella Michael, his personal lawyer, and I have worked for my deceased client for more than 15 years with all the cover documents. I will send him in case the bank requests them. In the meantime, I already sent them to the bank and confirmed that the fund was still intact, and then they asked me to provide my deceased client's next of kin to transfer the fund to your account. Which is why I contacted you to secure this fund to your bank account. Otherwise, the bank will divert you to your treasury account as an unclaimed fund. Now, as you can see here, Stella mentions that they had worked for Mr. PB Taylor for more than 15 years and hold all documentation that they will send to him. I'm still unsure who him is now, but okay. Stella has also provided that said documents have already been provided and confirmed that the funds is still in the bank. And if no one collects the funds, it will be moved to the treasurer account in the UK. Understandable, I think. Now, this statement here in this email, Stella just goes a little bit deeper. She gives us a bit of backstory. She tells us a bit about what's going on. A lot of this statement doesn't make a lot of sense, but do take notes. There will be a quiz at the end of this. If you don't have the answers, you will have failed all your exams. So I don't want to lose this fund because I spent a lot of money during your accident. In fact, I closed my bank account to make sure I saved their lives, but all my efforts were fruitless. They all died, which I still give them as burials because they have no relationship except me. Now, Stella here is talking a lot of money that she spent on when I had my accident, and that Stella had to close her bank account because it was needed to make sure that Stella had saved their lives, and all of Stella's efforts were fruitless, and they all had died. Who are they? Who is this him? Who died? Why was a bank account closed? What accident did I have? These are the questions I asked myself when reading this. Now, there's been a lot to unpack so far. There's still stuff that I still don't quite know how to make sense. But we're still going to continue further. Now, I know there's been a lot so far that you can see here. There's plenty more to come. But this is the longest section of the email, okay? So just bear with it. There's more still to come. Stella is going to bring in a fantastic backstory for us. Okay, now this is also going to be part of the exam, so do take notes, okay? Be ready. Secondly, my lovely son was diagnosed with kidney infection and needs a kidney transplant urgently, and our family doctor referred us to India. But now I cannot afford it because I am a widow. But in this I have my hope of saving him. Transaction. I have spent all my daily savings trying to keep her here until the transplant has been done. So my good friend, I advise you to give me a word of honour. You are not going to make this my last hope disappearing by jeopardizing this transaction. So all I have for you to do is send me the following: your full name, the address of your home or office, your occupation, your date of birth, country of origin, your private phone number, your private fax number, your international passport, and or national ID. Now, when reading this, Stella is talking of her son going through a kidney infection and is referred to a doctor in India so her son can get a transplant. But she can no longer afford to pay the hospital bill, as Stella is now a widow, and Stella has been spending her savings to keep her here. So Stella's son had somehow gone to India with a kidney infection and now no longer has a penis. I think Stella got scammed on this one, or Stella's really progressive in this email. I'm not really sure, but my favourite part is this: I cannot afford it because I am a widow, but in this I have my hope of saving him. Transaction. Now that's no trickery there. That word transaction is highlighted by two separate periods. This is one whole word. Transaction is such a beautiful and moving word to have used when discussing their son or daughter's life. I was truly moved. But Stella tells me that this is their last hope into saving their son or daughter's life. And all I need to do is provide that following information. We continue. As soon as I submit your complete information to my office, I will use it to introduce you as kins next to the deceased engineer P.B. Taylor. After submitting it to the bank, and if you accept my submission, I will contact you again for the next steps to transfer the fund to your bank account in your country. The moment you officially make the presentation, then by the bank administration, you will accept without questions, because you have no way of proving otherwise. I advise you to call me on this number, +228 795 01540, from 8 AM till 9 PM GMT any day for further clarification on this matter. Thank you for your understanding. You can also add me on WhatsApp under the same number. Now, as you can see, Stella has provided this info to the bank, or wants to provide this info to the bank, and I need to speak with the bank, and I need to accept without question. A contact number was provided, which when investigating this number, +228, this is a number based in Nigeria, with a time scale of 8 AM till 9 PM. If I need more information, I could call. That's very nice. That's very nice. Now there is an additional note here. Note: the fund is an inheritance fund, and due process will be followed for the release of the fund to you. I cannot send you a check because the fund is not under my custody. Rather, it is with the bank. You'll put claim to the bank for the claim of the fund, and your inheritance will be required. Best regards, Stella Michael, ESQ. Esk. I'm not too sure where this esk has come from. A lot to unpack. I'm just gonna waffle on for a moment, just so people have a bit of context of why there is a lot more of an older generation that suffer with a lot of these scams, and provide a bit more context about how technology was for when they were my age, and make it clear that technology wasn't always the same, and that it's drastically changed, and why people back in their generation when they were younger, it wasn't really a priority in their life. Now, I'm just an average 20-something from the UK, brought up not to really fall for scams on the internet. I grew up around the internet, while the older generation really didn't. Home computers came out in 1977, but they were more accessible in the early to mid-90s, and with the internet or the World Wide Web became more public access, also in the 90s. Computer prices then could range from £750 to £2,000, or dollars if you need that. It was the same kind of price ranges back then, with it becoming a lot cheaper coming into the end of the 90s. But it wasn't a massive amount, it was not a lot cheaper. So people during these times that could afford one could buy one, and those that couldn't didn't, because computers back then wasn't really a priority, it wasn't needed, it wasn't a part of work life, so it wasn't really used, and they were very overcomplicated. I've also got here a section as well of some of like the more standard computers as well. It's a section of a magazine showing like the computers, how much they would cost, what was in them. Now, in the 20th century and the 21st century, everything is a computer, and technology is now more scary to those that are new or wasn't really born into like the area of technology. So the average older person isn't going to know what's going on or believe that they have been contacted by a scammer, but they believe it's more of a genuine person. Now, before I get the comments saying not every old person falls victims to scams, during the day over the past few years that I've been working for a bank, I mainly dealt with a lot more of the older generation, a lot more of the older people falling victim to these sort of scams. Through text messages, through emails, through phone calls. These are the most common scams that these people, this demographic, fall victim to. Now, while the younger generation, let's say under the ages of 30, don't really fall for these sort of scams because they kind of like grew up with the internet. Like myself, I grew up with the internet, so they kind of had that more knowledge. So it never really happened to people under the age of 30. So just take that in mind. This is a bit of context. Now, after reading this passage, this life that Stella has lived through, I just couldn't help but fuck with her. So, this is due to me not having an accident. I don't know who these people are, why she's referring to these people as they, them, him. As Stella had mentioned that Mr. P.B. Taylor is an orphan and has no family or relatives. So after taking some time to respond to Stella on the 9th of June, 12:57, my response will be on screen, but I'm going to read it anyway. Hello Stella, I'm sorry to hear about these bad times that you have gone through. I would love to help. I do remember my accident. This money would be really helpful with the fees. 45% of $13.5 million would be $6 million, and the remaining to yourself and a percentage to charity would be a win-win. The accident was pretty bad. It took my wife and kids when we lived in Hong Kong for some time. I had to come back to England. Their ghosts kept following me when I was shopping. It's okay now. They only watch me when I sleep. It's heartwarming. I do hope the best to your son. I would be more than glad to help. I do have to admit something embarrassing, but I had to change my last name to her surname, Taylor, as it was her last wish before she died in my arms. I remember her screams as the oil covered her body and caught fire in the car crash. I was a coward. I ran. I didn't even see my kids die. This money would be really helpful. Thank you for sharing your story. I feel that this was Jar that had brought us together. This is just due to me logging in, checking my emails, and your message had caught my eye. Thank you for reaching out. So you're looking for my full name, the address or address of my home or office, my occupation, my date of birth, country of origin, my private phone number, my private fax number, my international passport or national ID. Can you please be patient, as I will need to locate the following requested items, such as my passport or national ID. Thank you. Now, in this email, you can see that I mentioned that I lived in Hong Kong, China, and I changed my name just slightly to meet my supposed wife's wishes before death. I thank Stella for sharing her stories and that Jar had brought us together. Now, you must be thinking, but Arran, who has a fax number? Who would provide an international passport? Well, you see, Stella provided a very convincing fake passport. I assume this is to prove that they were a real person. So with me, and my good old trickeries and using my many years of working in the creative media industry, I managed to create a god-awful fake Hong Kong ID, but I was unable to send it out. This did include a name change, a lovely image of beardless me, and my serial number, which is 69420123346. Now the ID that I had used is a free online specimen to show what a passport or ID would look like in that area and or country. But it is already fake. Mine is so fake and is clearly fake because everything's thrown together, even with this serial number being the incorrect size. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer here. I will not be using this ID in Hong Kong. There is the disclaimer for that. As of writing this script, I was unable to contact Stella afterwards, as I was busy working a full-time job and streaming in my spare time. You can find my streams at twitch.tv, BrosGame for Life. We provide some god-awful content. But I'd been busy. So I then received an email from Stella on the 20th of June. I'm going to do a live reading of this with my co-host. He helps me out with the streams, as I had been running through with him about what was going on in regards to this video. So I'll be providing a live reading of this email and then continuing with the rest of the video, just to then wrap it up. Okay, so David, I've received an email from Stella today, from stella_michael@gmail.com today. Not today, on the 20th of June at 12 o'clock. Okay. So it's the 26th today, so I'm 6 days behind. But there's a bit more of what's going on. Yeah, it's a bit more going on here. So I'm just going to read out to you. Dear. Dear. I'm very happy. Dear, not dear Arran. Dear. I'm very happy to inform you about my success in getting those funds transferred under the cooperation of a new partner from India. Now, I haven't provided any information yet. I was getting around to doing that for the video, but this one's come out of nowhere, so no context, but there we go. So she's got the funds transferred under the cooperation of a new partner from India. Now, if you want me to jog your memory, David, her son went to India for a kidney infection and turned out to be her daughter at the same time. So her son went into India for a kidney infection and woke up without a penis. Or Stella is really progressive, whichever one. Presently, I'm in India for investment projects with my own share of the total sum. No mention of what sum, but total sum. Meanwhile, I didn't forget your past efforts and attempts to assist me in transferring those funds, despite that it failed us somehow. Now, it failed us somehow because I got fucking busy.
Yeah, you just didn't respond.
I was busy working a full-time job, then streaming on the side, and then doing a bit of traveling. I've been busy. I've not really got around to that. That's my own fault. But that somehow failed us.
Yes, them somehow trying.
Yeah. They've somehow tried to reach out to me, even though I have failed Stella. Okay, respect to Stella. She's still trying to get hold of me to sort this out. Respect.
Is she still offering you your chunk of the money?
We're getting there. So, obviously, meanwhile, didn't forget your past efforts and attempts to assist me in transferring those funds, despite it failed us somehow. Because of the urgency of my travelling to India, I dropped a MasterCard of $550,000 with the Reverend Father Gregory Grant for you. Now, David, I want to remind you again. Stella closed her accounts to save somebody's lives that died, if you remember.
Yeah, well, what she pulled out.
Where's this MasterCard come from? I don't know, but this MasterCard of $550,000 US dollars. Now, I want to do a quick conversion here. Okay, 550,000. That's that's a lot of money. That's 300 and it's not. It's £396,197.94. Still. Oh, that's I could clear a good chunk of debts, and you could get kind of like an okay house with that kind of money. You know, it's not going to be a big house, but you can get kind of a house. You can put a down payment.
You can buy them.
You can buy. But she's left this with the, and now I want to add that the Reverend. There is a double space, so this has been copied and pasted. With the Reverend Father Gregory Grant for me. Now contact Reverend Father Greg. Sorry, I'll read that out again. Now contact Reverend Father Gregory Grant, because it's in capitals, through his email address, revgreggrant@gmail.com. It's a hyperlink. I'm just gonna. It's a hyperlink to a Gmail. So through his email address, asks him to post the MasterCard of 500,000. Where's the 50,000 gone?
Table.
Of 500,000 US dollars, which I kept for your compensation for all the past efforts and attempts to assist me in this matter. Oh, that's very nice. Where was the 13.5 million gone? Where did that go? It's now been converted down to 500,000. But I don't know where the other 50,000 went, but 500,000 has now been done down to as compensation.
That's for the Reverend for his.
I assume he's taken a cut, and I am now that 10%. I believe that was kind of about right. 45% to me, 45% to Stella, and 10% to the... Yeah, give or take, that would be about the right kind of figure. So I'm now being the charitable donation, which is compensation for all the past efforts. I haven't done anything. And she appreciates my efforts, so I appreciated your efforts at the time very much. So feel free to get in touch with Reverend Father Gregory Grant and instruct him to post the MasterCard, which you will cash in any international bank in your country. Okay? Please do let me know immediately you received the MasterCard so that we can share the joy of all the sufferings at that time. At the moment, I am very busy here because of the investment projects which me and the new partner are having at hand. Finally, remember that I have forwarded instructions to Reverend Father Gregory Grant on your behalf to receive that MasterCard, so feel free to get in touch with him. They will post it to you without any further delay. Please contact Reverend Father Gregory Grant. Now, I believe Reverend and Father are the same thing.
Yeah, but the Reverend Father.
But the Reverend Father. Through his email address. Email there for instant delivery. Now, David, alright. I don't know if you know much about international postage, but it's not instant, especially during these lovely times of 2021. A post letter from any part of the country going to the UK, which is where we are based, it takes up to 15 to 20 days.
Yeah.
That's the average time, 15 to 20 days. So it's not instant delivery. Kind regards, NB. Remember to put this 5-letter word, glory, as subject of your email, so that my secretary will know that you are the rightful beneficiary of the Visa card. Send your current mailing address to her also. I may not be able to write or call you again, as I will focus on my projects and keep away from the internet for my security and my family. Do not call me. I am now in India and will be moving to Venezuela soon. So, David.
Yes.
Is Reverend Father Gregory Grant her secretary? That's also a lady. Yeah, I don't know about you, but whoever Stella's in contact with is really,
They have mad fucking
she does have some connections.
She got a new connection for fucking ever.
But as to like basically conclude this Stella Michael arc in this video, to wrap it up, Stella here, also known as Roman Krieger at Bahan.sk, has now cut ties. Stella has now decided that she is cutting ties with us, as she's unable to write and call again, and will be focusing on her projects from the internet for her security and her family. Do not contact her, and she will be in India and moving to Venezuela soon. So,
What should tell you with that if she doesn't want you contact her?
don't know. Maybe to try and get these funds to me. So, this concludes the end of the Stellar arc. But I'm going to also contact this Reverend David at some point. I'm going to continue this arc to find out what's going on. So maybe the video, rather than it being a 10-minute video, because the script's already 10 minutes long, I don't know if I'm going to make it a full feature-length video, or if I'm going to do it in 10-minute segments. Or I do it in 2 separate arcs. So I do one video based on the Stellar scam, and then I move on to the Reverend Father Gregory Grant story arc. I'm going to make a Netflix series out of this on YouTube. It's just taken so many left turns. It's just taken. So I'm going to be contacting this Reverend Greg Grant at gmail.com. It's all fucking broke. I also need to title the email Glory, so I will be doing that. So I think it will be a change in the arc from I expect a response to Glory for a supposed Visa card with an undisclosed amount of either $550,000 or $500,000. No one really knows, but there's a figure there. So, to answer your question of the 13.5 million, I'm getting 500,000. So what has happened here is the scammer has done a good effort on trying to scam myself, but may have then gotten scared thanks to the time that I had taken to respond. Or the scammer has then changed to a new email to possibly try and scam me in a new or different way. Now, we're going to continue this, but we're going to be changing over to the new contact, Reverend Father Gregory Grant, but in the next video. Thank you for joining me. I hope that the next video is going to be good. I'm not going to give any hints, but stay tuned. So thank you everybody. This is the end of the video. I'm just kind of tuning into this as I'm just clearing up the editing now. I want to thank everybody that's watched the video or even listened to the video. This video has taken a long time to do. It's taken almost a month, coming up 2 months. But I hope everyone's enjoyed the video. Once again, you can find me live at twitch.tv/BrosGame for life. You all have a good day. Take care. See you later, guys.